Good morning, guys. I overslept. I have 2 alarms set, and apparently I told Alexa to cancel the first alarm. I don't remember doing that. So let's get right into it. I'm going to back it up because they started on time this morning.
HAAS from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Ashley Haas is a forensic latent print examiner with the GBI. She tested the following items in this case. 3 black gloves recovered from the bushes at the apartments at 285 Millage Avenue. GBI item numbers 2A, 2B, and 2C were physically and chemically processed for latent prints with negative results. She cut the gloves for this examination, but only after they were processed and photographed by the serology section. 2, Ms. Haas removed the barcode sticker from the Adidas black hat, GBI item number 39, and those items were visually, physically, and chemically processed for latent prints with negative results. The Adidas stickers themselves from the hat have been marked and will now be entered as State's Exhibit 150. 2 rocks from the crime scene. Evidence markers 2 and 3 from the crime scene, with GBI item numbers 22 and 23, were physically and chemically processed for latent prints with negative results. 4, the styrofoam cup and straw from the retention pond at the crime scene, GBI item number 64A and 64B, were physically and chemically processed for latent prints with negative results. And that completes the stipulation at 296. Will be moved to admitting at this time.
Defense want to be heard.
And then finally this morning, State's Exhibit 295 is a stipulation signed by the state and counsel for the defendant, and is a stipulation of fact regarding ACC PD Sergeant Timothy Stewart and Amanda Blair. Sergeant Tim Stewart and Amanda Blair testified before this court on October 11th, 2024 at a Daubert motion in the above referenced case. All parties hereby agree to admit the testimony of these 2 witnesses from that hearing and the exhibits that were introduced during their testimony at that hearing into evidence at this trial for the fact finder to consider. The transcript at the Daubert motion of these 2 witnesses will be made part of this trial record. Sergeant Tim Stewart's testimony will be admitted at trial as State's Exhibit 290. And I have State's 290 here, which is the transcript of Tim Stewart's testimony from the Daubert hearing on October 11th, 2024, along with his exhibits. And I'll move to admit State's 290. And for the court's recollection, Tim Stewart is the expert that matched the defendant's fingerprint to the phone of Laken Riley's, phone. Stipulation of fact regarding Amanda Blair, her testimony, she was the peer reviewer of Timothy Stewart and agreed with his conclusion. Her transcript has been marked and will now be admitted as State's Exhibit 289. And that completes the stipulations for this morning.
Anything from the defense on those issues? Any objection to those stipulations?
No, okay.
Let me make 2 announcements regarding yesterday's testimony and evidence. After hearing the music video translations, I do find that the evidence is not relevant.
Yay, good call, Judge.
Those are the music videos. I think there were 3. Also, as to the translated phone calls between the defendant and Layling Franco, those translations will not be admitted as evidence and will not be considered after hearing the translations. I do find that it was more than contextual and therefore violates the Confrontation Clause of the 6th Amendment.
I'm going to flame up here. I need a real desk.
All right. Anything else before we start with evidence? Okay, you may call your next witness.
State cause Sergeant Sophie Rabu.
Hey, Nancy.
Would you raise your right hand, please, ma'am? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you will give today in the matter of the state of Georgia versus Jose Ibarra will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth shall be done?
I do.
Please take a seat. If you could please spell your first and last name.
Sophie, and last name is Raboud.
Where do you work?
I work at the University of Georgia Police Department.
How long have you worked there?
I have been there for 14 and a half years.
Could you tell the court what is your rank, what are your duties and responsibilities, and where are you assigned?
I am currently a sergeant assigned to our criminal investigations unit, also known as CID. I'm a supervisor, and I also investigate crimes that come into the department.
Tell us a little bit about your training and education.
I have over 1,700 hours of training in law enforcement classes. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and a master's degree in criminal justice.
Did you assist other people in your agency into the investigation into the murder of Laken Riley?
I did.
I want to ask you specifically about a trail camera located outside of Building S. First of all, if you could tell the court, do y'all have a camera there? Tell us a little bit about that camera and how it works and how long it's been there.
So we have a mobile trailer camera made by Compass Security that we move around as needed. At the time, it was actually placed at the end of Rogers Road and Village Avenue Extension. It has 3-axis cameras that are attached to the boom that goes up that have been in place there for unrelated reasons.
When that camera, is it always recording?
Yes,
And are you able to, as a sergeant at CID, access that camera from your computer?
yes, that camera is actually connected cellularly through AT&T FirstNet to our campus safety camera system, which we are then able to access through the software that we use called Genetec.
And you can access that from your computer.
Correct.
What about the times that are depicted? Are there times depicted on the trail?
There are,
And on all the videos, basically at your university?
yes.
And are those times synced with something?
Yeah, they're connected to our servers that run the camera systems.
So do you know that the times that we see in the trail cam and any video that is pulled by the university and at the university, are those timestamps accurate?
They are.
Were you asked to review that trail cam that we are talking about outside of Building S, Rogers Road, for the day of February 22nd, 2020?
I was.
And did you?
I did.
How many hours of that trail cam did you watch?
Probably close to 50 to 75 hours. We've been reviewing different, not just that camera, but other cameras as well.
And at this time, I'm going to ask to approach the witness, and we have one moment. Okay, so, I know that you're asking, I'm sorry. I'm handing you what's been marked for identification as State Exhibit 279.
Microphones, people. Microphones. Yes, princess. I will pet you.
I do.
What is it?
It's thumb drive contains video from the trailer camera.
And you see your initials on that?
I did.
And did you not only put the trail cam video that we're going to discuss on that thumb drive, but did you also load on that thumb drive a enhanced version of the trail cam that was done by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation's Cyber Center?
I did.
And is that also on that thumb drive?
It is.
Of the videos that are on that thumb drive, have you watched them all?
I have.
And do they all fairly and accurately, are they accurate recordings of the trail cam video on February 22nd of 2020?
There.
State would move to admit states 279, request permission.
279 is admitted and you may publish.
And I am just looking for the Garrett Morton stipulation so that I can add this exhibit number to that stipulation. We can do it at a break, but I just need to be reminded to do that because when we admitted that stipulation, we didn't have this exhibit.
You're such a brat. Why can't I hold you? Shadow. Well, you don't do anything to get timed out.
See if I project it. And do the other.
I'm happy to have you, Nancy.
Get back in. Yes, sir. It is. Let's try it. No, it's not Sam. That's what I said.
That defense attorney looks nervous or anxious or something. Playing the piano on his lap, or
Sergeant,
typing something on his lap. What is he doing with his fingers?
in general terms, we're gonna publish for the record the video that is labeled GBI cyber video. But before we publish it, tell us a little bit about the video itself. Meaning, what time frame? Let's start with what time frame does it cover? The GBI cyber version. And did you individually go in and pull clips from a certain time?
Yes.
Let me back it up a little bit. Did you look at the trail cam video?
Yes, sir.
And did you see a person of interest on the trail cam video wearing a dark hoodie and a hat and some gloves, carrying a cup?
I did.
When did you first see that individual in the trail cam video?
At 06:52 hours.
And if you got translate that for us, that's 6:52 in the morning
It is.
on the 26th.
And is her mic
February
even
2020.
on?
It is.
And how long do you see that individual on this trail cam video that day?
He disappears 07:56 hours
It was funny. Don't apologize.
in the morning.
And so that's about a little over an hour then. You see that individual.
Correct. In and out of camera view.
And the clips that we have on State Exhibit 279 where it says Jose Ibarra, are those the clips, part of the clips that you captured during that time period?
Yes,
And then the folder that's labeled GBI Cyber, did they merge all those together for you?
they did. Because there's two camera views.
So so we don't have to keep opening and closing.
Right.
The GBI cyber video, did they miss one particular clip?
They did.
And what clip was that?
That was a clip at 9:42 a.m. A blurb that we see in the woods going back towards Cielo at Azulik apartment.
You're gonna have to move in somewhere. The blurb that you see,
Cielo at Azulik.
and is that a separate clip in states 279 that you've labeled a borrow return?
Yes,
Did the trail cam also capture Laken Riley?
it did.
And did the trail cam also capture her roommates who went out to look for her?
It did.
So now that we've laid all that, we're gonna start publishing the part that says GBI cyber video.
That, by stipulating to the foundation and the admissibility, but we're certainly not conceding that the labels that have been applied to the files are necessarily accurate. Thank you very well.
Before I publish, we've got open a GBI cyber folder. What is the date and time that we're looking at on the video? Can you show us?
It's February 22nd, 2024.
And before we talk about what we're about to see, let's get a little context. Is there a bus stop here?
There is.
Can you point to it with a pointer? There's a pointer right in front of you. And in this frame, where's building S? And the road that we see that there's now a red line on, what road is that?
This part here is Village Avenue Extension. This is Rogers Road when they come at the bus stop.
She cannot hear you. I can tell by the way that she's shaking her head. You're gonna have to say that one more time into the microphone. Say it again.
The road on the right is Village Avenue Extension. Road on the left is Rogers Road when they come together at the bus stop.
In this frame, you see a pathway to the Celia and Azul apartment complex.
I do.
Where is the pathway? Is that where the individual is coming out of at this point that we see in the frame?
Yes,
And is there another pathway to that apartment complex?
there is.
So that one's one. That's further back. And if a person were to continue walking down Rogers Road, where would you end up?
At the very end,
Yes.
turn to the right and it goes down to Village Avenue.
And is there a bigger road that is near your, like, where's 10?
Blue 10 is that.
Okay, thank you. This bus stop, is that a University of Georgia bus stop?
It is.
I am going to pause at 6:53. In this frame at 6:53, do you see apartment 114 in building S?
I do.
Can you please point it out to the board? So it's the lit up door at the bottom floor of building S.
It's the southernmost floor of the building.
What is he doing? What in the world is he doing?
I'm gonna stop it at 6:54. First of all, in the entire hour that this individual is around this area, does he ever talk to anyone?
No.
Ever engage with any person? No. Do you see from 6:52 to 7:54 this individual go to building S door?
Yes.
In that time frame, how many times does that person go to the door?
6 times.
And can you see on your video of those 6 times, how many times that person actually opens the screen?
Twice.
And the nature of this footage, how would you describe this footage? Is it great, grainy? I mean, how would you describe this?
At times it is good quality, at other times it is a little grainy.
Why is that? Is that just a function of the camera?
Yeah, it's connected cellularly, so sometimes when there's motion, it you know, the quality gets better. When there's no motion, kind of the quality disappears a little bit.
And did you make screenshots of the still video at some point in the investigation?
Yes.
I'm gonna hand you what's been marked for identification purposes. States Exhibit 85, States Exhibit 84. Do you recognize those items?
Do.
What are they?
There are pictures of the individual that was seen walking around.
And are those some of the screenshots that you made?
Yes.
State moved to admit states 25 and 24. And were you all, or were you, in your investigation, attempting to identify the clothing and items that this person was wearing?
Yes.
And in your review of this video, were you able to see, first of all, gloves?
Yes.
Can you point to those? What color are they?
Black.
Were you able to see a cup?
Yes.
Can you point to that? And then were you able to see a bag? And it may not be best in this video at this point, but in one of your still shots, can you see a bag?
Yes, I do.
Can you please, I'm gonna just show it to the court. Is it where my finger is?
Yes.
Okay, that is easy. Is that good to give the bag now?
Yes, it is.
All right, at 6:54. What door did that individual just walk by?
114.
It's fine on my end, Nancy,
We see it at 7:01.
You see him walking up
but
to
it was
the
skipping a
door.
little bit earlier.
He's standing in front of the door. Now he's opening the outer screen door. That part. Now he walks back behind the building.
And now our next clip is at 7:06, so that's how Cyber just put it together. So we're not watching 5 minutes of dead video.
Correct.
But when you see him go in the back of the building, in the back of the building, are there windows in the back?
There are.
And are there windows to 114 in the back of the building?
Correct. And it's on the ground floor, so it would be at, head level, chest level of an adult.
This 7:09 clip where I'm pausing, where, in what direction is now this individual going?
He's walking south.
Okay, and the IM fields from here, intramural fields, you're familiar with those, correct?
Correct.
Where are they in relation to where he's going?
They're to the east of that, southeast of that. But you can access it by going south and then turning east.
Would this individual be walking in the direction of the IM fields?
Yes.
So now we're at 7:33. So between 7:09 and 7:33, do you see this individual on this trail cam?
No, I do not.
In what direction now at 7:34 is that individual walking?
He's walking north back towards Building S.
gonna pause it at 7:39. So at the last clip that we saw at 7:33, did that individual go back behind building S again?
He did.
And I asked you about the windows in building S, and is that, space 276 has already been admitted, is that what that window look like in the back of that building?
It is.
And how they were also on that one?
Correct.
That should be the 276. So he, leaves in that direction to at 7:33 towards his back windows.
Correct. Now standing cutout window in the stairwell.
What is that cutout window?
There's a stairwell inside there and there's just a cutout that they have in there.
And that's at 7:40?
Yes.
What floor is he on now? 7:42.
He was on the second floor.
At 7:43, is that a UGA bus?
It is.
Does it pick up presumably students or the people that were waiting at the bus stop?
Correct.
Dang it. I said he's fixated on the girl in that apartment who was Spanish. But Laken Riley wasn't. So did he get upset because he couldn't get into that girl? So then he just took whatever girl was the easiest for him to get at that point? Because at this point, I'm starting to think his marriage. I mean, they called her his girlfriend in all the articles that I read, but
744,
maybe.
what door did he just walk by?
114.
In the direction, and now we're at 746, so hold on. So it goes from 744 then to 746, so 2 minutes are missing because we clipped it together, correct?
Yes,
But
because
you watched all two minutes in between of 744 and 746.
I did.
We see him disappear at 744. Does he go again around the back of building S?
Correct, he does.
And how many minutes later does he come back again to the front?
2 minutes.
And that's what we're about to see here at 746.
Yes.
She was South Asian. She sounded Spanish to me. What do I know? Don't listen to me. I don't know nothing. Okay, well there goes that theory. I still say
Right?
he was aggravated because he couldn't get into that apartment, so then he just picked whoever.
And again,
It was
now
easy
we're at
access.
748. Again, we lost about 2 minutes. In between 746 and 748, where does he
Oh, okay.
And then comes back.
So 2 minutes later, he's back at the front.
Correct.
And that's what we just saw.
Yes.
And now at 748, again, where does he go off to?
To the back of the building.
Now we're at 749.
He's back at the door at 114.
Does he touch the door at that time?
It appears it's hard to tell because of the quality of the video, but he doesn't open the door.
751 now.
He's just standing in the area.
And when he left the frame at 749, which direction did he go?
Back towards the back building.
And then at 751, we now see him again in the screen.
Correct.
So he did this for an hour.
What is he here at 754?
54, he had he had pulled back to the front of the building. Yes.
And what does he do right there at 754?
He is ducking down.
StreamYard is
Which
being
direction is it going now?
stupid.
And we just lost 2 minutes. We're now at
I don't know.
756.
That's a good question.
So you described he ducks down at 754.
Correct.
He goes to the back of the building.
Correct.
And then you don't see him again until 756. Is that right? So there's 2 minutes that we don't see in this clip because we're not going to sit here for all this time, where you don't see him.
Hey, David.
That's right. So you see him again at 756. And in which direction is he going now?
He's going south,
Towards,
the IM fields. And here he disappears into the woods. There's no path there, just the woods that he goes into.
It's possible that he's done it before and nobody called 911.
okay, and I'm going to stop.
But I mean, we can't assume that either because it's
In
facts,
this
not
time
evidence.
period, from 652 to 754, we've just watched all of that. you see, first of all, is this person alone or with someone?
Alone.
And have you watched in all of your hours of video review in this case, have you seen Diego
No.
in this time period?
No.
Have you seen him before?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, you swapped him. We're going to talk about that, right?
Correct.
Do you know what Diego Ibarra looks like?
I do.
And have you looked for him in all of these videos that you have reviewed?
Yes.
And on the 22nd day of February 2024, you ever see Diego Ibarra on this trailer?
No.
Now I want to move on to the other clips, and then we're going to go back to your last clip that you made. So what time are we at now?
9:05 a.m.
What part of the trail are we on?
This is Village Avenue Extension as it's coming towards the bus stop.
What time? And you said 9:05 a.m.?
Yes.
And do you recognize that individual we see in the screen?
I do.
Who is that?
It's Laken Riley.
You see
There's
her-
court sound, David, but it's very low right now.
She is holding her phone in her left hand.
What direction is she running?
It's running south.
And was that also in the direction of the IM fields?
It is. She now went east towards the IM fields on the railroad tracks.
At 9:06 and 49 seconds?
Yes.
No, there were no cameras out
Now,
there.
we are at a different time period. What time period are we at?
11:36 a.m.
What part of the trail are we on?
This is Village Avenue Extension.
And do you recognize those two individuals that we now see in the frame at 11:36 a.m.?
I do.
Have you met them before?
I am.
And what are their names?
Sophia Magana and Lily Steiner.
And the dog is
Chan.
that Sophia's dog?
It is.
Which direction are they going?
They're going south.
Dinosaurs. Eat, man. Inherits the earth.
Now what time are we at?
11:55 a.m.
And who do we see in the frame now at 11:56?
Sophia and Lily and Dog Chan.
Now that it's the sun has come up, how would you describe the lighting that day?
It was, I think, partly sunny that day. It was a little bit windy.
I have to load the Gentech player for this. This may take one moment. This is why we decided not to play it this way. So you told us you watched while we're waiting for the Gentech player to load. That this trail cam for the entire day. What were you looking for?
Anybody that matched the description or anything that would have been suspicious activity.
I'm going to now play the part of your 279 that says Ibarra return. First of all, I'm stopping here.
I haven't heard anything else about Sarah Boone.
9:41 a.m.
Since December 3rd.
It is.
And in this frame, do you see the cut throughs, for lack of a better term, to the Celia? How do you say it again? Celio. Say it one more time.
Celio Atzazuli.
Okay, was that the name of the apartment complex at the time?
It was.
Can you spell that for Madam Court Reporter?
CIELOACYLUK.
Celio Adezu. Show us where the two cut throughs are to that apartment.
Make it bigger.
I can. One in the bottom screen and one in the middle of the screen.
Correct.
Play at 9:41. We see some red now coming through. Well, I just saw some red. Hold on, stop. I'll stop it. At 9:42 a.m., do you see the red?
Yes.
What's the red?
It's detecting motion cameras.
And what, do you see an image?
See a blob, appears to be a black blob.
And in what direction is that blob heading?
Going west towards the Celio Atzazuli apartments.
And during this time period, when you watched all of this trail cam video, did you see anything else suspicious or that got your attention, or any other people that got your attention?
No.
Hey, twin.
I want to ask you about a few other things that you did. First of all, did you review the cell phone of Laken Riley?
I did.
And it was extracted.
Happy birthday, David.
It was.
Almost.
Could you toggle over, Your Honor? And I'm handing you what's been admitted or is marked as an evidence that states 280. Do you recognize that?
I did.
What is it?
It's a PowerPoint that I created.
And did you create it from the data that was extracted from Laken Riley's cell phone?
It was.
And state remission, it states 280 in the press permission.
Any objection?
No objection.
280 is submitted.
I'll publish it this way because there's no animation in it. It'll just be easier.
Okay.
So states 280, what are we looking at on your first page?
That's just the title page of the PowerPoint.
Second page, if you could tell us, line 1 where my finger is, can you read it or do I need to give you a copy of it? Up
I
there?
can read it.
You can read it, great. If you could tell us, first of all, what was the time of Laken's last outgoing communication from her phone?
The 911 call.
Before the 911 call?
It was a text message to her mother.
Okay, you're gonna have to speak into the
It was
microphone.
a text message
Okay, a text message to who?
to her mother.
At what time?
At 8:55.
Okay, and do we see that here where my pen is?
Yes.
And what is the text?
It says, "Good morning, about to go for a run. If you're free to talk."
And did she in fact call her mother?
She did.
At what time?
9:03.
And between 9:03 and 9:11, is there any activity in her phone?
No.
At 9:11, what happens?
She makes a 911 call.
All right, and we heard about that already yesterday about the SOS function, so I'm not going to ask you about that. So it looks like though your next page is about the 911 call, correct?
Correct.
All right. And did 911 in fact call her back?
They did
How many times?
twice.
What is the last text message that was read on her phone?
It was at 9:02 a.m.
And her phone was locked. Tell us a little bit about that. What time was it locked?
It was locked at 09:03:57, which was immediately after she made the phone call to her mother.
And after the 903 phone call to her mother, the next activity is a 911 call
Correct.
that we've discussed. And then you have that the phone was not unlocked again until forensically analyzed. What do you mean by that?
She never unlocked her phone through facial recognition again until we obtained that phone that night.
And extracted data from the phone?
Correct.
What time were the two 911 calls incoming to her after she called 911?
One was at 09:12 and 21 seconds, and 09:12 and 39 seconds.
Were either one of those calls from 911 into Laken Riley's phone answered?
No.
At some point, did she get a incoming call at 9:24?
She did.
And who was that incoming call from?
Her mother.
Is that call answered?
No.
Is she then receiving texts from her family members?
Correct.
What are the time of those texts? First one down here at the bottom?
9:37, 38.
And what is the text? Who is it from?
Uh,
And the content?
Call me when you can.
Is that text read or returned?
It's not read.
9:51 a.m.
She receives a call from her mother.
Sorry. Come on, StreamYard. I hit a button. What? Did it quit sharing? I think it quit sharing. I'm so sorry.
It is not.
Next call at 11:04 a.m. Incoming from whom?
From her mother.
12 a.m.
She received a call from her mother.
Is that call answered?
It is not.
11:19 a.m. An incoming call from who?
From her sister.
Is that call answered?
No.
11:47 a.m. Incoming text.
From her mother, it says, please call me. I'm worried sick about you.
Is that call and is that text read?
It is not.
Is that text responded to?
It is not.
12:07 p.m.
She received a phone call from her mother that was not answered.
12:20 p.m.
She received a phone call from her stepfather that was not answered.
And finally, were you able to determine when she was on her run if she was listening to music on her phone?
Yeah, she was listening to Spotify.
What is Spotify for the record?
It's an app where you can listen to music on your phone.
And just a few more questions, Sergeant. Were you the affiant on the arrest warrant for Jose Ibarra?
I was.
What was the date and time of his arrest warrant for the murder of Laken Riley?
It was February 23rd at 1958, which is 7:58 p.m.
And that was signed by what judge?
Superior Court Judge Norris.
Norris?
Norris.
And in your affidavit for his arrest, did you note his height and his weight?
I did.
What is his height
He's listed as 5'7".
and his weight?
It's listed at 156.
And at some point in your investigation into this case, did you have the opportunity to take a DNA sample in the form of a swab from the cheeks of an individual named Diego Ibarra?
I did.
Tell us a little bit about that, and while you're doing that, I'm going to hand you what has been marked as States 281.
I made a search warrant and it was signed by the judge on February 26th at 3:20 p.m. It was executed the following day around 10 o'clock.
How did you execute it? Just tell us what you did. Sorry.
I met with Diego Ibarra at the jail using gloves. I used a long Q-tip essentially and swabbed the inside of his cheeks.
And after you swabbed Diego Ibarra in that manner, did you seal those swabs?
I did.
And were they delivered to the crime lab seal?
Yes.
May I have one moment, Your Honor? And the state moves to admit States 281.
Any objection to 281? Yes, sir. 281. Good morning.
What?
Exhibit, already forgotten the number, but of the phone, the summary of the phone search of Ms. Riley's phone that you just went through, when did you prepare that exhibit?
Probably about a month ago or so.
Okay. And since then, you were aware that,
Actually, I take it back. It's probably 2-3 weeks ago, actually. Sorry.
so then that, and I'm not sure about the answer to my question. Was that before or after, I can't think of it, I don't know if it's Sergeant Officer Durkett had the got some follow-up information about the phone?
You did what? I'm sorry.
Are you aware that Officer Durkett a couple weeks ago got some additional information regarding the details of Ms. Riley's phone?
I'm not sure exactly what details you're asking about. I've been in contact with Officer Durkett regarding the phone, and we together looked at it and analyzed the information.
Okay. But he testified yesterday about some follow-up analysis that he did very recently. Were you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. And when was that done? I guess that, what I'm trying to get at is, was your exhibit prepared before that last follow-up analysis?
It was during that, when I was making that PowerPoint, we were discussing the back of the phone and looking at the phone.
Let's see, and then the security video, the trail camera video. You described some of the clothing that the person was wearing, but it also, would you agree that it appears that the person was wearing slides on their feet?
Correct.
And then there were, obviously, so you're one of the lead investigators in this case.
Correct.
And there are a number of agencies involved.
Correct.
So UGAPD and then Athens, Clark County, GBI, FBI,
Correct.
State Patrol even,
Mhm.
right? And you had to, I guess, keep track of a lot of what the other officers in those other agencies were doing, right?
Correct.
And I noticed that in Athens, Clark County reports, Officer Charlie Krischer, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, it looks like Krischer, collected some discarded clothes from the park. You recall that?
I was aware of it. I wasn't specifically there when he did that.
And then, did UGA take custody of these discarded clothes that he collected from the park?
We did.
And then in your investigation, you became aware of some gloves that GBI located during a search of the Department 126.
Correct.
Did you ever go by Bolton Dining Hall where Diego worked to see if they used those gloves?
I did not.
And then John Carlos, the other roommate, one of the other roommates, you learned that he worked at WNB. That's like a wing restaurant, is that right?
Correct.
Did you ever go by there?
I did not.
And you obviously were aware that the first person actually from that apartment that with whom contact was made was Diego, right?
It's supposed to be Juan Carlos,
The
right?
next day on February 23rd,
That's driving me nuts.
and that officers noted that he had a swollen eye and a red mark on his face. Do you recall that?
Objection to outside her knowledge. The officer who encountered Diego or who was there on the scene with Diego was here yesterday. That is a question for him. This calls for speculation. She was not here.
I'll suspend the objection.
Can I ask it this way? Did you note those details in your report?
I did.
And then you also told us, well, I think you told us, you got the search warrant for Diego's DNA, right?
Correct.
And also a search warrant for his phone, Diego's phone?
Correct.
And you were made aware.
Objection, hearsay. It's going to be hearsay. I just know it is.
No, it's not. It might-
Okay, well,
Not the first question.
this is a difficult fact, because this is our fact finder as well as a jury, so.
So you became
If you're
aware.
gonna ask the content of an search warrant affidavit, it's going to be hearsay.
Y'all use your mics.
Well, let me. I'm not quite sure.
Finish your question, and then I will hear the objection further.
Thank you. Were you made aware of a witness named Stephanie Slate?
Yeah.
And if the next question is, what did she say, it would be hearsay.
Let's see what that is.
You were aware that Stephanie Slayton gave an interview with the police?
Correct.
And you included some of that information in your affidavits?
I did.
Another name came up as a potential witness was a jogger in the park named Clementi.
Correct.
I'm blanking on his first name. Clementi is the last name.
Joseph.
What does Giancarlo Esposito have to do with this?
And then also in your
Billy.
investigation, you were involved in these interviews with names that came to your attention through some Grindr app contacts.
I was with Detective Norris for some of them, not all of them.
Were you made, I believe you were involved in the interview with Robert Thorne?
Correct.
Okay. And then were you, not sure about this one, Maurice Jones, were you involved in that one?
I was,
And then Victor Chapana?
yes.
Were any of those people shown lineups, photo lineups?
Yes.
Did those lineups include Jose Ibarra?
Yes.
And no one was able to identify.
Objection.
Oh.
I'll suspend that objection.
So he's trying to
And
say,
then,
Giancarlos, and it's coming out like John Carlos.
February 23rd in that evening, correct?
Talking about the
The
restaurant?
arrest warrant.
Yes.
And then helped present the case to grand jury to get the indictment that we're here on today. That was sometime in May, I believe.
Correct.
But your work continued after that, and you kept abreast of any new information.
Correct.
Okay. And that, were you made aware of the new information from the Butts County Jail a few weeks ago?
I was made aware I was not involved in it in any way.
Okay. And, but you knew that's where Diego was being held?
I knew based off that information I had not known previously.
Did that prompt you to re-interview Diego?
I did not.
Thank you, that's fine.
Redirect?
1 minute. Nothing, Your Honor. May this witness be excused.
Any objection, Mr. Brown?
Could we just ask that she be subject to recall?
Okay. You can sit down if you're subject to recall.
Okay, thank you.
You can call your next witness.
State call Special Agent Lucas Bayer.
What did she just say to them? Are they all leaving now? Is that Riley's family? Are they fixing to play something gnarly? Yeah, I look back at my notes. We haven't had the medical
Should be.
examiner.
There's about to be 5 body cam photos that I'm going to be reviewing that is not going to be published on the overhead. I'm instructing that there be no pictures or video taken of those documents if there might be a glimpse during the exchange. I'm told that after that happens, I'll tell you there may be something else, and I'll lift the restriction. Does that make sense? Good. All right. Thank you for your cooperation.
Raise your right hand, please, sir.
Oh, wow. They have not talked about the Grinder app any further, and I thought they needed to expand on that a little bit.
Please take a seat, state and spell your first and last name.
My name is Special Agent Lucas Bayer, Lucas Beyer.
do for a living?
I'm employed by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation
How long have you been employed by the GBI?
since 2020.
What are your duties and responsibilities?
I am employed at the GBI's Athens Regional Office. I'm a special agent and investigator.
And tell us about your training and education, or your training for your job.
I have been in law enforcement since 2015. I started with Georgia Probation and Parole as a probation and parole officer. I was hired by the GBI in 2020 and went through Basic Law Enforcement Academy and also the GBI Academy. I have attended training for cell phone forensics. I have attended training for homicide investigations, child abuse investigations, and other general investigative tasks.
Are you a post-certified officer?
I am.
And were you the lead GBI agent assigned to investigate the murder of Laken Riley?
Yes.
Will you tell the court when were you assigned to that and what did you do in that regard in the very beginning?
I was assigned that role on Thursday, February 22nd, 2024. Shortly after 1 p.m., I was contacted by my immediate supervisor, Assistant Special Agent in Charge Heather Strickland. She advised that the University of Georgia Police Department was requesting GBI assistance in reference to a death investigation.
I'm sorry, can you come into that microphone just a little bit more because I make sure that Madam Court Reporter and everybody can hear you. Thank you. So you were advised that the University of Georgia requested assistance. Go ahead.
Yes, I was advised that the University of Georgia requested assistance in reference to a death investigation, and I was dispatched to an area on campus known as the Intramural Fields and Lake Herrick area and the Oconee Forest Park specifically. I was told that there was a deceased female that had been located in that wooded area. When I arrived at the scene, I met with UGA PD personnel, specifically Major Hammock, and he provided me a briefing of the information that they had gathered so far.
What time did you get on the scene?
I arrived on the scene at approximately 2 p.m.
And when you arrived on the scene, was Laken Riley's body still on scene?
Yes.
And did you assist your special agent Daniela Stewart in processing the scene, and were you on the scene that day?
I was on the scene that day. I did not assist in processing the crime scene. There were some things that I did assist with, such as gathering measurements. I also later helped look for a cell phone, but as far as the collection of physical evidence, I did not assist with that task.
And who did that task?
Special Agent Daniela Stewart, Detective Saunders from the University of Georgia Police Department were primarily assisting in that task.
How long were you on scene that day?
I remained on scene that day until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
In your, and so then how did this work? Is a GBI an assist agency? Tell us about that. You nodded your head, so you have to say yes or no for Madam Court Reporter. Is GBI an assist agency?
Yes, the GBI is an assist agency.
And so what does that mean?
The GBI rarely opens their or has original jurisdiction over their own investigations. We are assisted, or excuse me, we are requested by chiefs of police, local sheriffs, judges, district attorneys, fire chiefs. So it has, or elected officials can request the GBI to investigate a case also. We do not respond as a standard police department or patrol officer to a 911 call. We have to be specifically requested by another law enforcement
Dang
agency
it.
to initiate an investigation.
And after you were working together on this case basically since it occurred.
Yes, ma'am.
May I approach the witness, Ron? I'm going to hand you what has been marked for identification purposes as 286, 287, 288, 298, 297. I'm going to ask that you keep these in the folder while you're looking at them, please, and keep them low. you recognize those exhibits?
I do.
What are they?
These are screenshots that I captured from Sergeant Maxwell's body camera footage. That body camera footage depicted the moments that he initially found Laken Riley's body.
The state needs to admit those items.
Any objection?
No objection.
They're admitted. Nice,
I am going to tender this exhibits to the court and for them to be discussed. So, Investigator Lucas, as part of your, excuse me, Special Agent Ibarra, as part of your duties and responsibilities in this case, did you do a great deal of studying of Laken Riley's clothing and how it was on the scene?
I did, yes.
Let's start first with what you personally observed when you arrived on scene at 2 p.m. Go ahead and start. First of all, just tell us what you saw about her clothing in general, and then I'm going to ask you some specific questions.
At the time that I arrived on the scene, Laken Riley was still located on the scene, as I previously stated. Her, the garments that were covering her torso, jacket, sports bra, they were completely removed from her body and they were lying on the ground next to her. She was still wearing shoes, socks, black pants, and we could also observe underwear that she was wearing. They were tan or pink in color, and they were poking out from the top of her, the waistband of her.
Her running pants were above or below her navel when you saw her body?
They were below her.
And did you see the back of her body?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so how would you describe the top of her pants versus in the front versus the back? Were they even or were they uneven?
They were uneven. The back of her pants were significantly lower than the top of her pants.
You could see her underwear protruding. What do you mean by that?
I could see the underwear protruding from the top of her pants on the front of her body. The waistband of her pants had been moved, and the underwear was poking out from the top. As I just stated, the backside of her running pants were pulled down, exposing the top of her buttocks.
Did you go back and review Sergeant Maxwell's body cam to see what her clothing was like when she was originally found by the GP police officer?
Yes, I did.
And is that part of the photos that we've admitted to his consideration?
That's correct.
How would you, first of all, describe her running tights and her underwear? Was it in the same manner in Sergeant Maxwell's body cam as it was when you saw it?
Her pants and her underwear were in the same condition in the body camera as when I physically saw them on scene.
So her underwear was protruding like you saw it on scene?
Correct.
What about the top layer of her clothing? What was it the same?
No.
So how would you describe the clothing that you've studied in Maxwell's body cam at the top of her body?
The clothing on top of her body had initially in the body camera when Sergeant Maxwell found Laken Riley. Her jacket and shirt and sports bra that she had been wearing were heavily manipulated, and the clothing was pulled up extremely high above her breasts, which completely exposed her breasts. The jacket and shirt had been pulled up on her back, and all of her clothing items were bunched up around the back of her neck, and they were also pulled up off of her shoulders.
No, she wasn't, Nancy.
Everything was pulled forward.
She tried, but she fought too
I
hard.
was asking about the sports bra. Did you see her sports bra?
Yes, I did see the sports bra. The sports bra had been manipulated so that it had become the outermost layer of her clothing. The sports bra, as I was able to see in the body camera, was wrapped around her upper arms. They were wrapped around her triceps. And I was able to identify that was the sports bra in the body camera footage, because the bottom of the sports bra, as it would have been worn, the bottom layer that would have been below her breast was a pretty distinctive ribbed material. And I was able to see that ribbed material in the body camera footage wrapped around her triceps and her arms.
Were you also part of the investigative team in making decisions about what to test and what not to test in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you aware that Laken Riley's part of her body was swabbed by the medical examiner?
I'm aware of that, yes.
Like her neck and her wrists and her ankles. And were those swabs tested by your laboratory, the GBI?
No, they were not.
And why not?
They were not tested because we knew that there had been at least 3 males that had touched Laken Riley's body without gloves when they were rendering aid and trying to save her life. We also know that there were additional males that had rendered aid to Laken Riley after the initial 3 officers had tried to render aid to her.
And would those be EMS and firefighters?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, go ahead.
We also saw in body camera footage that Sergeant Maxwell and Corporal Bridges, as they were the first ones to discover Laken Riley, they were equipped with whistles, and they were blowing in the whistles to try and signal other officers where their position was in the wooded area. As they were
So you ruled them out.
CPR on Laken Riley, we could see in the video that those whistles would occasionally touch her body, and it was likely that the whistles coming out of their mouth and then touching her body was depositing.
So you ruled
saliva
them
on her
out.
And at some point, you left the scene that day. Did you go to Bolt Dining Hall?
I did.
What is Bolt Dining Hall?
Bolton Dining Hall is one of the dining halls on the University of Georgia campus.
And what was your purpose for going there, and when did you go?
I went there on Friday, February 23rd, 2024, along with University of Georgia Police Department Major Hammock, in order to look at surveillance video from inside Bolton Dining Hall. We had received information that Diego Ibarra was employed at Bolton Dining Hall, and we went to the dining hall to look at the surveillance video to see if he had gone to work on the day of the murder.
And did you observe that video for yourself?
I did.
And were you with Major Hammock at the time?
Yes.
And just tell the court, like, what did y'all do? How did you see the video for yourself? Pull it up and see it?
Yes, we went to the Bolton Dining Hall administrative office, and we were allowed to look at a computer screen and the Genetech security system.
I know.
On the computer screen, and we were able to go back to specific dates.
Unless it was a money thing.
And the surveillance video associated with those dates.
And is the Gentech it's Gentech and the University of Georgia's Police Department audio and video surveillance system tied to their server?
Yes, it is.
And so are the times and date stamps on their videos accurate?
Yes, they are.
And were you asked for the purposes of today to burn clips of the video that you saw for yourself on February 23rd of 2020?
I was.
And did you do that, burn clips of what you saw?
Yes.
And maybe what's been marked as State's Exhibit 282, do you recognize 282?
I do. This is a thumb drive that contains clips of Bolton Dining Hall surveillance video.
And do those clips fairly and accurately, and are they an accurate recording of what you personally saw for yourself on the 23rd day of February 2020?
The clips contained on this thumb drive are from the 20th, 21st, and 22nd.
My question was the day that you saw it for yourself.
Oh, yes, correct. Yes, those are accurate clips that I observed on the 23rd.
So you pulled several days of video.
Yes,
You did that on the 23rd is when you saw it.
correct.
And so the video that's contained on 282 has other dates on it that precede the 23rd.
That's correct.
Is it an accurate copy of the videos that you saw?
Yes.
State of to admit states 282.
No, Your Honor.
282.
And just like the previous video for the court and counsel, we attempted to narrow the clip so that we're not watching hours and hours of video. And so that's what we're going to do. They're still not as short as maybe they could be, but it's certainly better than multiple hours. So I am publishing with the court's permission 282. Charlotte, never mind, we're up. It's not going to. So what days did you look at and what days did you make clips of? Let's start with that.
I observed Bolton Dining Hall surveillance video from February 20th, February 21st, and February 22nd.
So we're first publishing the first clip, which is the 20th. And tell us the time stamp on this video.
The timestamp on the video currently is 3:06 p.m. on February 20th, 2024.
And in your investigation, first of all, have you had the opportunity to actually see Diego Ibarra in person?
Yes,
And so do you know him when you see him?
I do.
And do you see him in this video?
We will see him in this video.
All right, we'll just let it play. We'll just let it play.
Diego Ibarra is currently on the screen.
Okay, well, I'll wait till he gets a little closer to see.
All this is happening. I would tell them when they can publish and make a few things. This is one they can start reviewing.
Yes, sir. Thank you for mine. Yes. And
All right.
wait, and if I could add
Double fine.
it is lost. I'm pausing it at 3:08 p.m. Who is that individual?
That is Diego Ibarra.
What do you see him wearing and carrying?
He's wearing white shoes, black pants, a gray t-shirt, and a gray baseball cap. He's holding a gray, small gray backpack.
Does he have tattoos on his neck?
He does.
Do you see those in this video?
I do.
Please point those out for the court. Use the pointer next to you.
I think you can see those.
Tattoos can be observed on the back of his neck here. There's also one behind his ear here.
Thank you. Does that complete the 20th clip?
It does.
What was his shift time at this dining hall?
His shift was from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m.
And I want to go to the next day, February 21st.
Correct.
I'm going to play that at this point.
That's the day before the murder. What are we looking at? I should say, why are we looking at it? I know what we're looking at.
What are we looking at here at 4:22?
There's also Diego Ibarra arriving to work at Bolton Dining Hall.
What's he wearing?
White shoes, black pants, a gray t-shirt, a red and white baseball cap, a small gray backpack.
I'm gonna ask you questions about that jacket when we see it a little different. And the backpack. Let me back it up a little bit. This at 4:42 p.m. is where I am in the video on the 21st. The backpack that you see and that here. Is it same or different from one that Jose Ibarra was published on his social media?
It's different.
Let me find that photo. I'm handing you State's Exhibit 247. It's already been admitted. Are you familiar with that image and that person?
I am.
Who is that person in 247?
This is a photo of Jose Ibarra.
And you see him with a bag in that photo.
I do.
Is it the same bag that we see here?
No.
Okay. How are they different?
Diego Ibarra's backpack is slightly larger. It also has 2 shoulder straps on it. This bag is smaller and has a single strap.
And as the investigator in this case, the GBI, did you personally, along with you, look for that bag that you see in State's Exhibit 247?
Yes.
Did you ever find it?
No.
StreamYard.
Now publishing the 2/21/24 clock out video. What time is it now?
The timestamp shows 10:58 p.m. on February 21st, 2024.
Welcome back, David. I don't know if he was taking a picture, Nancy, or just doing something on his phone.
Does that complete the 21st?
It does.
Did Diego Ibarra go to work on February 22nd at 2024?
Yes, he did.
And what time do you see him on video on that day?
Mr. Ibarra is shown clocking into work at approximately 3:57 p.m.
So at 3:57 p.m. on the 22nd day of February of 2024, where were you?
I was at the crime scene.
Had Laken Riley's body already been discovered?
Yes.
Had you, ACCPD, GBI, University of Georgia Police Department, had all of y'all already responded to the scene?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many police officers do you think, state, federal, and local, had descended upon the University of Georgia at about this time?
I would have a difficult time putting an accurate number on that, but it was numerous law enforcement.
More than one?
Yes, more than one.
More than 10?
Yes, ma'am.
If a person were on this campus on that day, would they know something's up?
Yes, ma'am.
And Bolton Hall, is that on the University of Georgia campus?
It is.
So he shows up to work at what time?
He shows up to work at approximately 3:57 p.m.
And I'm going to stop it right there. 3:57 p.m., what is he wearing?
He's wearing white shoes, black pants, a gray t-shirt, a black and red baseball cap, and he has a small gray backpack. He also just deposited a gray or white jacket into the locker.
On that day, is he wearing a black Adidas baseball cap?
No, ma'am.
Is that Diego Barr again at 3:59?
It is.
And the last clip now at 2:22:24. What time are we at?
Timestamp shows 11:03 p.m.
Do you see Diego Ibarra again?
Yes.
What's he wearing?
White shoes, black pants, gray t-shirt, currently wearing a black Georgia visor, and he's holding a white towel.
What's he putting on now?
A gray or white hoodie and a red and black baseball cap.
On the 22nd day of February 2024, do you see him wearing a black Adidas hat?
No, ma'am.
So why was Diego wearing his hat? Did he give the hat to Diego after the murder? He threw clothes in a dumpster. Why didn't he throw the hat away too?
Still see Diego Ibarra there?
Yes, ma'am.
John, I'll pass the witness.
Fire, you were speaking to Ms. Ross about the crime scene, and I kind of want to start there. You were explaining your rationale for not testing some of the swabs taken in Lake Herrick. Was it your call what was sent to the GBI lab in this case?
All evidence that was collected, including the swabs, were sent to the lab. We had collaborative discussions with the lab and amongst the investigative team what we would request to be tested. There was also input by lab personnel on things that they would not test.
And so the decisions were made by a combination of you and other GBI personnel, you would say?
That's correct.
Okay. So I want to talk about some black gloves. Did you ever observe black gloves collected from the residence where Jose Ibarra lived?
I did not personally see them, but I'm aware of them, yes.
Okay. Are you aware that they were not found in a box, but they were found in a drawer?
Yes.
Okay. You went to Bolton Dining Hall?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. While you were there, did you ask to see what kind of kitchen gloves they used?
I did not.
You were aware that Diego worked at Bolton Dining, as we just discussed.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just want to clarify for the record the times you mentioned him clocking in on each day. On February 20th, he clocks in at 3:08 p.m. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
February 21st, he clocks in at 4:43 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
And on February 22nd, he clocks in at 3:57 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
How far is Bolton Dining Hall from Diego's apartment?
Approximately 10 minutes.
And is 10 minutes a drive or a walk?
According to Diego, he generally took a bus or he had a friend take him.
And were you able to confirm that there was a bus route that could have transported him from near his apartment to Bolton Dining Commons?
Yes, ma'am.
And would that bus route include the stop near Rogers Road, that bus stop for UGA buses?
Yeah, it would.
Okay. So he regularly used that bus stop?
Yes, ma'am.
And sorry, you said it was about 10 minutes, you said?
Approximately, yes, ma'am.
You were at the back to the woods, you were at the crime scene for several hours, you said?
Yes, ma'am.
And did Tim Stewart from the Athens Police Department ever come by the crime scene?
Yes, ma'am.
What time was that?
That was early on. He was, I believe he may have been at the crime scene when I initially got there. At some point, he departed the scene.
Would that have been like 3 p.m. or?
Yes, ma'am, it was early on.
Okay. And you mentioned that several male individuals had attempted to render aid to Laken Riley without gloves. Were those the initial responding UGA police officers?
Yes, Sergeant Maxwell, Corporal Bridges, and Sergeant Epps.
Are you aware if the EMS personnel wore gloves when they handled her?
They did. The body camera depicts the firefighters and the paramedics wearing gloves.
And you mentioned you had a chance to, in detail, observe Ms. Riley's body.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you notice that she had fingernails that stuck out from her fingers a little bit?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you notice that there was blood on the inside of the fingernails?
Not personally. I didn't get that close. I didn't want to disrupt the scene
Sure.
Beyond what I needed to as a case agent.
Did you review the photos later?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they show that there was blood underneath her fingernails?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it fair to say you were kind of in charge of and aware of any investigative action taken by the GBI in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're aware of that there were 2 interviews conducted with Juan Carlos,
Yes, ma'am.
and one of those was on February 22nd, the day, or sorry, February 23rd, the day that you all got involved.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was a follow-up done, I believe, in March, was it March 4th?
I believe it was March 4th. If I can reference my notes
You may.
momentarily, I can give you confirmation of that. Yes, Monday, March 4th was the follow-up.
Similarly,
not
our
food,
units were
Spike.
interviewed on February 23rd,
Yes, ma'am.
and then you were involved in a follow-up interview with him.
That's
not
correct.
And what day was that follow-up interview?
Quit eating it.
That follow-up interview was conducted
That's
on.
cardboard.
One moment, please. Friday, March 1st.
Are you aware of a follow-up interview was done with Diego Ibarra?
It was not.
You're aware that GBI agents found black and orange latex gloves at a trash can across from the apartment on February 23rd?
Yes, that particular trash can was across South, I believe it's South Village Avenue, near a gas station.
Were those gloves collected?
I believe so, yes.
Were they tested?
That I do not know. Those gloves were determined to not be of evidentiary value because they were most likely associated with law enforcement personnel that had been in the area on 23rd.
Did you review footage to confirm that?
Not personally, no, ma'am.
And then you're also aware that there were some discarded clothes found near the intramural fields on February 23rd?
There were some discarded clothes that were located behind the Argo apartment complex near a walking trail. I am aware of the collection of those clothes. I also observed the officer's body camera of the collection of those clothes.
And were those clothes tested?
They were not. The clothes were determined to have been lying on the ground for an extended period of time. I did discuss those clothes with crime scene and forensic personnel, and it can be determined that it was unnecessary to test those clothes because they were not of evidentiary value.
The contents of Diego's bag, did you ask that those items be tested,
No, ma'am.
including the black gloves that were found in them?
Correct.
Thank you.
Was there any observable blood on Diego's black gloves that were in his bag?
No, there was not.
And if there was, would you have sent those to the crime lab?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to say you used the word Argo Apartments. Does it also have another name?
It does.
Can you tell us that name, please, for record?
The name of the apartment complex at the time of the incident was Celio at Azalyuk. It is also currently known as the Grove at 5 Points.
And you were asked about clothing that was recovered near there, and you said something about it had been on the ground for some time. What do you mean by that? What did you say?
The clothing had vegetative matter on it, sticks, leaves, twigs, pine straw, and the clothes appeared to have been wet several times and dried out several times, and they had the appearance of older articles of clothing that had been lying on the ground for an extended period of time.
And if there were any blood on that clothing, would you have sent it to the crime lab?
Absolutely.
And Diego was interviewed by you, is that right?
That's correct.
What was the date?
That interview was conducted on Friday, February 23rd, 2024.
And did you ask him questions?
I did.
And did he answer your questions?
He did.
And the gloves that were recovered inside Jose Ibarra's apartment, D126, were they in a common area where anyone could access them?
Yes.
And the trail cam video from 2/22 of 24, the one at Building S, you know which one I'm talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
You're familiar with that video?
I am.
Do you see Diego on that video at the building?
No.
When you interviewed Diego Ibarra, you had a chance to observe his demeanor,
Yes, ma'am.
and he was actually really helpful.
He answered all my questions. We conducted an interview for approximately an hour and a half. He was calm. He was generally respectful. He answered all my questions.
But you would agree that he was not guilty.
I don't know if I would agree with that statement. If he answered my questions and he agreed to talk to me and we conducted that conversation for an hour and a half, I would say that was helpful and an overall positive interview.
But you chose not to re-interview him.
I did request to re-interview him later. He is represented by counsel on some unrelated charges, and I requested permission to interview him from his attorney and was denied that opportunity.
I don't have any further questions.
Just briefly, the unrelated charges, are they in federal court?
They are.
And what are the charges?
They are possession of a fraudulent green card.
And in your hour and a half that you spent with Diego on the 23rd day of February 2024, did he appear to be injured?
No, ma'am.
Did you see it? It looked like he'd been in a fight or
No, ma'am.
did you see any scratches on him?
I did not.
That's all I have.
Anything else, Ms. Beck? Can he be excused?
Yes, yes, sir, maybe he'll, I'll work it out.
Okay, go down.
Thank you.
We'll take a 10-minute recess.
I don't know what to talk about. I'm so sleepy today. I don't know why I'm so sleepy. I got an extra half hour of sleep because I didn't get up when my alarm went off. I was a little sleepy yesterday, but not like I am today. I got up early yesterday. I got up at like 6 yesterday. I was going to look and see how much Disney tickets were. I was thinking about asking for Disney tickets for my birthday. $119 for a one-day ticket. which actually, oh, on my birthday, it's 139. Then why does it say 109? Excuse me, 119. But my birthday is on a Monday, so we can't go on a Monday anyway. So if we go the Saturday before my birthday, it's $149. That's like $300 for two people. I'm okay. I'm just tired today. I don't know why I'm so tired today. Oh, I don't know if he's even off that weekend. You guys are watching me plan my birthday. And it's going to be a no when I ask. He doesn't like theme parks. I love theme parks, but he kind of like, I do stuff on Monday. So let me see. He works every other Saturday. So he was off last Saturday. He works this weekend. He's off next. Work. Oh, good. He's off on the 11th. He doesn't like theme parks, but we kind of like, we trade off. Like, I'll do something he wants to do, and then he'll do something that I want to do. Like one year on our anniversary, he wants a side-by-side so bad. He watches videos on YouTube. Thank you, Nancy. He watches videos on YouTube of people riding trails on side-by-sides, and he wants one so bad. And we watch, there's these guys, it's called Side by Side Blog, and they have side-by-sides, and they started off just doing videos of them. And the main guy's dad has a lot of land, and they started off just like showing off their own side-by-sides and their little course behind their dad's house and jumping and stuff. And it's in Michigan, so like during the summer they do the side-by-sides and jumps and stuff, and they have like a pond out there, and then in the winter they have a snowmobile. Your birthday's January 14th? I guess so. So they also periodically they will give away a side-by-side, and they have this like cool. Oh, cool. Well, see, that's what he wants to do. He wants to go up there. That's why I know I'm going to get to meet you, because he wants to go. There's a guy in Canada that he watches. I don't know if it's anywhere near you, because my husband is geographically challenged. He thinks, I don't know how to explain it. His brain doesn't work right. He's neurodivergent, like even more so than I am. But he watches, one guy he watches is in Canada, and he wants to go to Canada to go, and I don't know where this guy is at. I hate my birthday, because when your birthday is that close to Christmas, it was like Mom would buy my Christmas presents and wrap them up and be like, pick one for your birthday. And then that one would get up wrapped in birthday paper and put aside. And then she might buy me like another one for my birthday. So there's this place in Clearmont, which is a stone's throw from Orlando. And I think it's a 2-hour ATV session, but you have a guide. Like, they don't just let you loose on the property with their ATV. Or they do ATVs and they do side-by-sides. We did a side-by-side. Um, and I think we decided we might go back and do an ATV one day. So we kind of trade off, like we do something that he wants to do. So for 1 year for our anniversary, I bought him the ATV thing or the side by side thing, and we did the side by side. And then I wish I had pictures on the computer to show you. I have pictures in a scrapbook. I keep taking scrapbook pictures to show you guys, like taking pictures with my phone of pictures I've already scrapbooked to show you guys. Like my Venezuela pictures. Did I put them? I don't know if I labeled them. I didn't. But oh, I think I did it wrong. Why is StreamYard doing this? Stupid StreamYard. Oh, darn it. Well, I don't know how to do it. It should not be that hard. How do you share a picture with StreamYard? Oh, well. Cool. See, I like water stuff. Well, he does too. But when I met him, he had a boat. One of the first things we did, like after we were, like, knew we were together forever, he had a boat that sat in his yard where he lived. He lived like 2 hours south of me, and the city was getting on to him because he had this boat that wasn't registered that was sitting in his yard, and they were like, you have to move your boat. And I live way out in the country where we don't have, like, if you're not in the city limits, you basically can put anything you want in your yard, right? So I drove down there to spend the weekend with him, like I did every weekend. or like my 2 days off, whichever. So I drove down there. Then we drove back up here with me following behind him because he had no tag on the boat. So I had to like stay as close as I could behind him so no cop would stop him without a tag on the boat. Talk about nerve wracking. After driving 2 hours there and then immediately 2 hours back. And so like I'm driving interference so no one can see that he doesn't have a tag on the boat. Then we get up here, we park the boat in the yard, and then instead of staying here and spending the night, he wants to go right back to his house. I was like, why? Why can't we just spend the night? Just spend the night here and then go back in the morning. No, I don't want to. Good Lord. But Travis, I just drove 4 hours. I'm tired. We'll go to sleep. We'll go to sleep when we get back to my house. 6 hours straight. I don't know why. Well, I kind of do know why. And this was one of the things. I do like to watch him do his little remote control car races. These men are very serious about these little toy cars. I mean, extreme seriousness. These are very expensive toys. And I do have fun watching him enjoy himself. But he wanted to drive back so he could get up early in the morning and go play with his car. So I understood why he wanted to drive back. And like I said, I do enjoy watching him have fun. But that's kind of what we did when we first got together. Like, I went with him to his RC car races. He went with me to Disney. I bought him an annual pass, so it was Disney and RC car races. You know, we did each other's thing. And then I got sick. So everything stopped for a while, especially with the cancer. David, you are absolutely right. 100%. Oh, 100%. That now the guy that runs the track that we used to go to, he was like, now we're going to keep this civil. They're just toys. They're very expensive toys, but guys, they're still just toys. Yeah, but he'll want this like $300, $400 helicopter, and I'm like, I'll go buy you one from Walmart. He's like, no, it's not the same thing. So, I don't remember if I paid for the trip to Volcano Bay. He wanted to go to a water park. Just had to go to a water park. So when the second round of cancer, when I went into remission, I planned a surprise trip. And I was just going to be like, I bought the tickets and I was going to be like, go here, turn there, go in here, like not know till we showed up. And that was to medieval times. And when I realized he thought we were going to a water park, I thought, oh crap, I'm going to have to tell him before we leave. Cause he's, so I told him and he was a little disappointed. And if he doesn't want to do something, he is a stick in the mud. Like he'll do it, but he drags his feet. And like he does, you can tell he's not having a good time. Like he'll let you have a good time. He won't bring you down, but like it's like pulling teeth to get him to do stuff. He used to do that too because Lakeland, he lived in Mulberry, which is close to Lakeland, and there's lakes everywhere in Polk County. So when we went to medieval times, he had a blast. And then the next place, that's a dinner theater with like horses and knights and stuff. And then the next place we went was Volcano Bay, which is a water park. And the last anniversary, we went to Typhoon Lagoon, which is a water park. Now I get to go to Disney.
Charlie Krischer.
So I just decided that's what I want for my birthday.
While that's happening, and just to make sure it's clear on the record, I need to go over with your client his right to agree for me to delay that until
Oh, now it's buffering. Oh, law and crime buffering.
the case is done. Just want to make sure that I had that opportunity.
Yes, right. I think that it would be helpful to do that after lunch.
Oh, David.
State rests.
I'm glad we could help, sweetie. I'm so sorry for your loss. It's got to be hard. I still have my brothers, but I might as well not. They act like I don't exist.
Just state your name and spell it for the record.
Yeah, my first name is Charlie, Charlie. Last name is Krischer, Krischer.
Okay. Officer Krischer, I'd just like to direct your attention to February 23rd of this year. You're who do you work for?
I work for the Athens Part-Time Police Department.
Okay. And were you working that day?
Wait a minute.
All right. What were you doing that day? If you could just tell the court.
Did the state rest?
Your role in this investigation was.
So on that day,
Did I miss it?
Shift, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. I was called on scene in reference to translation, because the suspects were Spanish speaking only.
I mean, I know I'm tired, but
Spanish, so I was called on scene. But it looks like the University of Georgia had the officers already there conducting interviews. So my supervisor just told me, go on the east side of the apartment complex, walk around, see if you see anything, and call it in, and we go from there.
And so just if I clarify, your role was to just kind of patrol and do police work, look for
Correct.
anything suspicious.
Correct.
Right? Did you,
my
in your
twin,
search
my
for that,
absolute twin.
Did you ever find anything that you felt was suspicious?
Yeah, by the trees where there's
We were separated at birth.
where people can walk in. Behind there's a stop bus in that area. Behind it there's like some trees. I found a pile of clothing. Seems like it's been there for quite some time. It was wet, so I call it in, and University of Georgia officers arrive and collect those items.
Okay. Did you make a report about finding that pile of clothes, or was your role to just call that in to the officer?
Correct. My role was just to call it in and to the officers.
Okay. Do you remember who those officers were that you called that into?
No, I do not.
And again, just to clarify, you thought something was suspicious, and it was this pile of clothes.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what was included in that pile of clothes?
I don't. All I know is there was a pile of clothes in there. I didn't touch it, didn't process it, or anything.
Okay. Did you have any further role in any of this investigation?
Regarding to the clothes? Or?
No, just in general. Did you transport anyone for?
Yes, I did transport Diego Ibarra
Okay.
to our east precinct.
All right. And you did make a report about that because did you collect some of his clothes?
That's correct.
Okay. And was part of that
collection, was there a hat that
That's
you
correct.
collected? Could you describe that hat, please?
It was a black Adidas hat. It had the logo, um, the normal logo, white color.
Okay. And was he wearing that at the time that you collected it?
When I arrived and when I arrested him, he had it on his side, like he put it on the side of the window with his backpack.
Okay. Was he ever wearing it when you saw him?
No, to my recollection.
Okay. When you arrested him, did he say that it was his?
Yes, he said that it was part of his belongings.
Okay. And that's why you took it?
Yes.
All right. That's all the question I have, Judge.
Good afternoon, good morning. You first told us that the clothes have been there for quite some time. What did you observe that made you think that?
It was wet and it had a lot of debris on top, like, a lot of gravel, stuff like that, and it seemed very tarnished.
And you did call the University of Georgia Police Department, they responded and collected the clothes?
That's correct.
And you just said when you transported Diego Ibarra, did he tell you that was his hat, or did he say that's part of my belongings?
That's part of my belongings.
Meaning of all the stuff that he had on him that day, that was
Correct.
his, right?
Correct.
Did he say it was exclusively his hat?
No, I did not ask any more questions. I just asked, hey, is this part of your stuff? And he said yes.
That's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Regret.
Nothing further.
Any excuse? Any objection to him being excused, Ms. Wallace?
No, sir.
You're excused. So we're back to the state's case.
We are back to the state's case, and because we're just in this order right now, to make it easier, I'm just gonna recall Sergeant Daniel Saunders. He's outside.
Sergeant Daniel Saunders.
Well, David, it's good that you didn't see her go downhill because that disease is horrible, what it does. So just be glad you didn't know.
Raise your right hand, please, sir. Please swear affirm the testimony you will give today.
I don't know, maybe I just made it worse. If I made it worse, I'm sorry.
Jose Ibarra will be the truth.
I should just keep my mouth shut.
Please state and spell your name.
Daniel, last name Saunders.
And are you the same Daniel Saunders that testified, I believe, on Friday?
Yes.
And in this particular case, Sergeant Saunders, now Lieutenant Saunders, did you receive clothing from ACCPD, specifically Officer Kushner, Kirshner, the guy who just left? Did you see that guy leave?
Yes.
Okay. Did you receive clothing from him that was recovered around on the 23rd day of February 2025?
Yes. Officer Hubbard with our agency collected clothing items that he had found.
Did you look at those items?
Yes.
Did you see any blood on those items?
No.
Did you see anything suspicious about those items?
No.
Could you describe those items? Did they appear to be weathered?
Yes.
Tell us what you saw.
The pair of pants had green rust corrosion on the button that had kind of spread away from the button. They were stained with dirt. It looked like they'd been there for a while. Outside.
Outside, exposed to the elements.
Correct.
And if you had seen blood on those items, would you have tested it?
Yes.
Would you have sent them to the crime lab?
Yes.
In your opinion, do those items have anything to do with this crime?
I don't believe so.
That's all right.
You're aware that there's at least one officer who disagreed with your assessment that those have been there a long time.
I'm not sure how we determined that they had been there a long time or a short time.
But you're aware that somebody else observed the clothes disagreed with your assessment.
I can say Officer Hubbard wrote in his report that it appeared that they had been there recently.
No further questions.
When you observed those clothing items, where were you?
I was at our agency at the station.
In the laboratory?
Yes.
Were you able to pull them all out and look at them individually?
Yes.
Is
Valencia.
Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear from the testimony you will give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If you could please take a seat and adjust the microphone so you're speaking loudly into it. And could you tell us your first and last name?
My name is Valencia Johnson, Valencia Johnson. I work at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation as a lab technician in the trace evidence section.
How long have you worked with this?
5 years.
What is the trace evidence section?
So the trace evidence section is where we collect materials. So trace evidence are materials that are usually microscopic in nature that can be transferred between persons and objects when they come in contact with each other.
What are your duties in the trace evidence section?
My main duty is the collection and preservation of trace evidence, primarily hair and fiber, which is called processing.
Were you working in that capacity at the GBI in February of this year?
Yes, I was.
And you're still working in that capacity today?
Yes.
I want to direct your attention to your case number 2024-1005107. What are the individuals associated with that case number?
Laken Riley and Jose Ibarra.
And when an individual or when items of evidence come into the crime lab associated with an individual, are they given their unique case number?
Yes.
And is the unique case number for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation for the murder of Laken Riley 2024-1005107?
Yes.
And when items of evidence come into the GBI, then do you all give them a case number inside the GBI? Items of evidence individually. Meaning, if I send you 100 items of evidence for Laken Riley, do you number them in the crime lab?
It's all the same case, but they get unique numbers.
So under that same case number, each items of evidence would have unique.
Yes.
So with that background, I want to ask you a few questions about items of evidence that you observed and saw and processed in this case. I want to first ask you about some gloves, black gloves and a jacket that you received. And just for the ease, if you needed your February 2026 report. Did you receive 3 black gloves and a navy jacket?
Yes.
Could you tell the court, first of all, on what date did you receive those items and what are those item numbers for the GBI?
Okay. I received those items on February 23rd, 2024.
What is the GBI number for the 3 black gloves that you received?
Item 2.
And what is the GBI number for the jacket?
Item 3.
I am going to hand you some evidence that has already been admitted. And here's the gloves that you need. I'm going to hand you first what has already been admitted as State's Exhibit 149. And since I'm already up here and I don't want to move back, 147, I'm going to put your feet, okay? So first, starting with State's Exhibit 149, do you see your name and initials on that exhibit?
Yes, I do.
And what is the item, the GBI item number for that exhibit?
It's item 2.
And are there 3 black gloves inside of that exhibit?
Yes, there are.
Were you the first person at the crime lab to receive those gloves?
I was the first person to work on the gloves.
And to work on those gloves, so you worked on those what did you do with those 3 gloves?
I processed them for possible hair under fiber.
How did you do that?
I looked at them under a stereo microscope.
And what did you do with the things that you may have recovered things from these?
I recovered possible hair and or fiber from item 2A and item 2B.
And that's a good point. Did you give the gloves an individual association to the ATC?
Yes, I did. I sub-itemized them.
And did you observe the condition of the gloves when you received them at the time?
Yes, I did.
What were the condition of these gloves when you received them?
The gloves were damaged. They had holes and possible stretching.
When you say holes, it might be a silly question, but what do you mean by holes?
There's like a hole in the item, so the outside, you can get inside through that hole.
You could see through them.
Yes.
And after you processed the gloves, where did they go in your agency from there?
They were transferred to the forensic biology section.
What are you doing, Bill?
What do they do in forensic biology, in general?
In general, so they test for serology, which are fluids, and DNA.
And when you received the gloves and you observed the holes and you collected items of evidence from it, did they pass on to forensic biology?
The collected materials, we keep them in our section.
But the gloves themselves went on to forensic biology?
Yes.
The jacket, did you receive, it's at your feet, if you could look at that. I think it states 147. And do you recognize that item?
Yes, I do.
Did you process that item at your lab?
Yes.
What did you do to the jacket, states 147?
I processed the jacket by tape lifting it, except for the neckline and cuffs, and I did a visual with a magnifying glass on those areas.
Did you observe hair on that jacket?
So we don't usually note where possible hair under fiber is on the item exactly, because it can move around in the bag, but there was possible hair under fiber collected.
And do you recall seeing it on the jacket when you collected it?
Yes.
And the hair that you collected off that jacket, what did you do with it?
They were packaged and kept in our section in case it was requested for them to be analyzed by our hair or fiber analyst.
And looking at that jacket, do you recall where on the jacket you saw hair?
I do remember one place where there was possible hair under fiber around it.
And the jacket, when it left you, after you processed it, where does it go from after leaving you?
After leaving me, it was transferred to the forensic biology section.
Did you have the opportunity at your laboratory to look at the clothing?
Yes, I did.
Did you find a key in Laken Riley's?
Yes.
Where did you find her key?
I found the key in her jacket.
Did you have the opportunity to process the fingernail clippings of Laken Riley?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to need you right here marking the evidence of states 319. We have lots of things marked already in between. And we will do this up for States 319. Do you recognize states 319?
Yes, I do.
Do you see your unique GBI case number that is associated with Laken Riley on states 319?
Yes,
And do you see your initials on 319?
I do.
What item number within that case number did you assign or the GBI assign the fingernail clippings of Laken Riley?
Item 18.
And what did you do, and is that what you're holding right now?
Yes.
Is it moved to admit states 319 and link it up with the medical examiner? Do you see your initials on 319?
Yes.
Are they at the bottom there?
Yes.
Okay, let's show it. So what did you do to states 319?
I looked at the item under a stereo microscope.
And what, if anything, did you observe when you did that?
I observed the nail clippings, but I did not find any possible hair under fiber.
So no hair or fibers underneath the fingernails?
No.
And did you look at the right hand and the left hand?
Yes.
And if you had found hair or fibers, where would they have gone?
They would have been collected and kept within the trace evidence section.
I'm gonna ask you a few more questions about it. From a tree.
Yes, I did.
And what did you do to the cutting from the tree?
I performed a visual with a magnifying glass and removed any possible hair or fiber I found. Yes.
Those already been admitted. It's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 89. And what's already been admitted as States 87 and 88. And again, my numbers are very different than your numbers. If you could first with 89, you recognize States 89?
Yes, I did.
What is it?
It is the cutting from the tree.
And did you process that in the trace evidence section?
Yes, I did.
And just so we can be clear, what GBI item number was States 89 or is States 89?
Item 24.
Item 24 for the GBI.
Yes.
Right. And what, if anything, did you discover on that exhibit, States 89?
I removed possible hair under fiber.
And was that sent on to?
This is still state.
After I was done, it was transferred to the principology section.
And then States Exhibits 87 and 88. Do you recognize those items? And you can actually take them up. First of all, do you recognize your signature on those items?
I recognize my initials.
And do you recognize your unique GBI case number?
Yes, I do.
And if you could tell us for States 88, which is in your left hand, what is your GBI case item number for that?
Item 23.
And in States 87, what is your GBI item number for that?
Item 24. I mean 22, sorry.
So 22 and 23. And what are these items physically? And if you need to, you can look at them. Do you need to? Yeah, go ahead. Oh, the one. I opened one with the States 88, you're opening 87. So 87, did you see that item?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do with States 87 at the lab?
I performed a visual exam using a magnifying glass and removed any possible hairs and fibers I found.
And did you see hairs on that item?
Possible hairs and fibers.
Correct me, possible hairs, right?
Yes.
And did those hairs go on to your trace evidence section?
Yes.
Thank you. And then I'll put that back in while you look at States 88. I'm gonna ask you the same question about States 88. What did you do to States 88?
I processed this item by performing a visual exam using a magnifying glass, and I removed any possible hairs and or fibers I found.
And did you find possible hairs or fibers on it?
Yes, I did.
And did those go on to your trace evidence section?
Yes.
I have one moment, Your Honor. I believe those are my questions, except for one final thing. The key that you found in Laken Riley's jacket, did you know what color it was in your report?
It was pink.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Just a couple questions, please. The gloves that you mentioned, Did you photograph them?
No, I did not.
The damage or the hole that you testified about, did you measure that at all?
No.
And then what about the possible hair or fiber that you collected from the other items? Did you photograph that when you remove it from the item?
No.
Thank you.
Were they photographed by the forensic biology section, the guns, the gloves?
Yes, they were.
All right, thank you, that's all I
You should be excused.
have. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Our next witness.
Alexander Cole. Good morning, sir. If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear to affirm the testimony that you will give today in the matter of this meeting? If you could please take a seat and state and spell your first and last name.
My name is Alexander Colvin, last name C-O-V as in Victor, I-N.
Where do you work, sir?
I'm currently employed at the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, Division of Forensic Sciences, commonly known as the State Crime Lab.
How long have you worked there?
Going on 10 years now.
What are your duties and responsibilities?
I am a microanalyst or scientist in the trace evidence section, and I perform casework in the areas of gunshot primer residue, or GSR, paints and polymers, fractured materials or physical fit, as well as some general unknowns and pepper spray and bleach cases.
Are you a microanalyst?
Yes, I am.
What is a microanalyst?
A microanalyst is a scientist that is in the trace evidence section, performing casework in those areas I mentioned earlier, including hair and fiber examinations as well, typically using microscopes or analytical techniques that take a look at different components of evidence that are microscopic to the naked eye.
Could you tell the court a little bit about your training and your education that qualifies you here?
I received a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from Albany State University, and upon being hired at the GBI Crime Lab, whatever area of analysis is needed at the time upon being hired, that will be the training program that you will begin. So for me, when I was promoted to a scientist, the first area which is are and casework in that area, finishing the training, you will move on to different areas of analysis and complete those training programs as well.
Have you completed a training program on plastics and polymer?
Yes, I have.
What is that in general terms?
Plastics or polymers are monomers or molecules that are chemically bonded together to form structures. These are the basis for any natural or man-made substances or materials, to include plastics and rubbers, things of that nature.
And could you describe what kind of training you have received in that area?
The training for that particular area of analysis involves practical exercises, written and oral exams, lots of reading, and at the very end, for certain areas of analysis, there will be an oral board or a mock trial phase, and then a supervised casework phase where you're doing real casework while your trainer is going through these technical processes with you.
And have you completed all of that training?
Yes, I have.
Have you previously been qualified before as an expert in the field of microanalysis?
Yes, I have.
And is plastics and polymers like a subsection of microanalysis?
Yes, it is.
How many times have you been recognized an expert in the field of microanalysis?
Generally about 84 times.
And would that include in the superior courts of the state of Georgia?
Yes, it does.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would tender Mr. Colvin as an expert in the field of microanalysis.
You're allowed to testify as an expert.
I just asked you. Make up your mind. Come on. Come on, Belle. Buddy. Here.
Okay.
Do you recognize both of those items?
Yes, I do.
I want to start with the first one I handed you. Is that 149 using my state exhibit sticker?
Yes.
Okay. Let's start first with that. So my state exhibit sticker 149, do you recognize your unique GBI case number associated with Laken Riley on it?
Yes, I do.
And do you see your initials on that as well?
Yes, I do see my initials and date when I began my examination, as well as my initials on the seal when I completed the examination.
What is your unique item number for State's Exhibit 149, the blue flat website?
That is item number 2.
And were they sublabeled 2A, 2B, and 2C?
Yes, they were.
And the next item that I handed you is State's Exhibit what?
State's Exhibit 244.
Do you recognize State's 244?
She's fine.
Yes,
I don't know why
And
she's
you see your
crying.
initials and your GDI unique case number on State's 244.
I asked her if she wanted to go out,
As well
and
as
she didn't.
the initials
And then
on
she
when I
whined.
completed the analysis.
And State's Exhibit 244, does it have 3 gloves in it as well?
Yes, it does.
And what unique item number was given at the crime lab?
Item number 40 and sub-itemized as item 40A, 40B, and 40C.
And in the report, is it noted where item 40 came from?
The gloves from item 40.
And that's your item 40 for the
Yes,
record?
yes, my item 40. Your Honor, may I look at my notes, please? To make sure. So, gloves from item 40 from an apartment complex, or an apartment inside of a drawer.
All right. So did you look at those two exhibits, states 9 and states 244? Did you examine both of those exhibits?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do to both of those exhibits? And tell us how you did.
So I did a comparison between the 3 gloves that were identified as found in bushes to the 3 gloves that were identified as being found in an apartment drawer. This included taking a look at all of the physical characteristics of these gloves, taking measurements for the sizing of the gloves, thickness measurements of the gloves, as well as noting any physical characteristics on the gloves, such as these black gloves having a very small textured gridded pattern on them. And then upon noting that these 2 sets of gloves are consistent physically, I then moved on to a microscopical comparison using a polarized light microscope to compare the optical characteristics between the 2 sets of gloves, and then a variety of analytical techniques that allowed me to compare the chemical components of the gloves, the elemental constituents of the gloves, as well as the optical characteristics of those gloves.
What were your conclusions?
My conclusions were that the black disposable gloves that were recovered from the bush are like the disposable gloves that were recovered from the apartment and could have originated from the same source.
What is the chemical makeup or the composition of those gloves, both states 244 and 149? Are they latex? Are they plastic? What are they?
Typically, disposable gloves, as we all know them, are composed of latex or PVC or polyvinyl chloride or nitrile gloves, so rubber. However, these gloves were polyethylene.
What is polyethylene?
Polyethylene is just another polymer type, excuse me, polymer type. Typically, when it comes to polyethylene gloves, these are maybe a more inexpensive type of disposable glove that may not stretch as much or have that rubbery or latex quality to it.
When you say may not stretch as much, what do you mean?
They're not plasticized, so not latex or rubber. So if these gloves were to be strained or pulled or stretched in any way, they may tear more easily.
And in the, safe to say that you were not the first person at your lab to look at these gloves or examine these gloves or process them. Would that be safe to say?
That is correct.
And I know that you all have a certain order about how you do things, is trace, latents, DNA. Can you tell us, if you know, and I don't know if you know, so I'm asking you this way, do you know in what order the gloves went? What number scientist were you in your lab to examine these gloves?
I believe I was the last scientist to do an examination on these gloves after processing, after latent prints, and then I believe biology as well.
Okay. All right, thank you, that's all.
Mr. Coven, Agent Coven,
Mr. Coven's fine.
Okay.
Yep.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just want to make sure that I'm
Come here, Belle.
understanding kind of what your job is correctly.
Belle, come here.
Your job is more to examine the composition of the gloves rather than the condition of the gloves. Is that a fair kind of assessment?
That's a fair assessment. I may note the condition of the gloves, but doing a comparison will be more so not based on the condition I received them in.
The condition of the glove and kind of things that might be relevant to investigative purpose might have been covered by the other scientists you had before you, right?
That's correct. That's reasonable to expect.
The
Yes.
trace people, the processing, I think is what.
Processing, I believe latent prints and then DNA biology.
Okay. And all of those people it starts when the gloves are how they're found, right? How the GBI gets there.
Correct.
Okay. And each one of those kind of process, what those gloves look like.
Yeah,
Is that fair to say?
That is fair to say, yes.
Okay. They're putting chemicals on them, perhaps.
Oh, hush.
That is
I
correct.
didn't hurt you.
They might even cut the gloves in half.
That's correct.
Okay.
Hurt
And
you.
so the condition when you got them,
Fine.
we kind of allowed you to talk about measuring the gloves. What we're talking about is the size of the gloves, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Not necessarily holes that were in the gloves, or you don't know how those gloves came to the GBI.
I did not lay eyes on these gloves as they were when they were received by the GBI. However, when it comes to doing the measurements that I did in this examination, any areas that if they were damaged or altered in any way, I tried to stay away from those areas so I could see the best comparison between the known gloves and the questioning gloves.
And when you're making notes in your report, you said you might make note of holes or anything like that. Did you mention all those in the report?
In my report?
Yeah.
Not in my report, but there was mentioned in the notes, yes.
When you say they're like the gloves recovered from the apartment, that just means that they're the same kind of gloves, right?
That's correct. So when we're referring to them being like each other, this is the optical characteristics I mentioned, the physical characteristics with the texture pattern, the same polyethylene-based type of glove, same measurements, etc.
And that they could have come from the same source.
That's correct.
Okay. What source is that?
That is not something that I could speculate to. The known gloves were identified to us as being found in a drawer inside of an apartment. So these question gloves found in a bush could have come from that source as well, but they could have come from some other source of gloves that were manufactured the exact same way.
That's all.
Yes, sir.
Right, thank you.
Call your next. So, did you ask me for any more? So we'll stop for lunch now. Since, back to 12:30. Wow, thank you.
You don't want me to adopt you. I don't have enough money to adopt people. So they said they were going to lunch. Did they say what time they were coming back? Or did they say they were going to lunch? It's only 11:30. She just doesn't like to be held anymore. Unless it's storming. I don't know. She's gotten weird as she's gotten old. Well, for one, when my shoulder was all messed up before I had the replacement surgery, I would scream and cry. I would get sharp, horrible, awful pain in my shoulder, and I couldn't help it. I would just scream and cry and cry and cry, and it scared her because she didn't understand what was going on. And there was one night that I was in such extreme pain that I couldn't lay down at all. And Travis was trying to sleep. For some reason, the pain is worse when I lay down, or I should say was. Oh, okay, 12:30. Um and I looked that up. Like I said, this is another thing that's not my wheelhouse is orthopedics, although I know a little bit because of taking care of the elderly. But shoulders are not like a super common thing, with the elderly. It's like knees and back. I don't know what population of people it's common for the shoulders to get messed up. And I know that my family has a lot of autoimmune stuff. I have psoriasis. I have tested negative for psoriatic arthritis. So I don't know why my shoulders are so screwed up. But um, one night it was so bad, I couldn't lay down. Travis was trying to sleep. I went and I sat on the couch. I tried to sleep sitting up and I couldn't. And I just screamed and cried and screamed and cried. It was intolerable. And I told Travis he was going to have to drive me to the emergency room. And then I said no, because they're not going to do anything. They can't do anything. I need surgery on my shoulder. All they're going to do, if anything, is give me pain medicine, and they're not going to want to even do that. So I was like, no. And I just used my MMJ. But anyways, ever since then, any time I raise my voice, like even if I laugh loud, she's skittish. It's weird. If she's taking a nap, like if she's sleeping in the bed with me and I'm watching something and I laugh loudly, she will lift her head up and look at me and give me the dirtiest look. And I'll be like, I'm sorry. I won't be loud anymore. I'll be quiet. I'll whisper, I'm sorry. Why did that mute my microphone? Did that mute? It turned red. Why did it turn red? I don't know. It's called old age. Me or her? Or both. She's old, and I feel bad that she's afraid of my loud noises. But I'm loud. I'm loud because when I started doing geriatrics, everybody kept telling me, you're never going to make it. You've got to talk louder. They're never going to hear you. You've got to speak up. You're dealing with old people that are hard of hearing. And so I got used to speaking loud. And then I went and I did pediatrics, and everybody kept telling me I was too loud. I needed to be quieter. And then I went back to geriatrics. So I'm kind of loud as a default. So, and I have my best friend I met her when I was a pediatric nurse. And there are times that I can't even hear her. She talks so low. And I'll be like, say that again. Okay, I'm going to go eat lunch and set up the afternoon stream, and I will see you guys at 12:30. I'm sorry I have been so unfocused. I don't know what's going on in my head today. I just I don't know, ADHD on overdrive or something, plus being extremely sleepy today. So I don't know what's going on. So I will see you guys at 12:30.